Good day everyone, I am Bernadette Ancajas.
And I am Alliah Oliveros.
And we are the tour guide here in Paco Park. Formerly established by the Dominicans during the Spanish colonial era as Manila's municipal cemetery, Paco Park, originally known as Cementerio General de Dilao, is now a leisure landscape. It can be found in Paco, Manila, Philippines, on General Luna Street and near the east end of Padre Faura Street.
A peaceful cemetery from the time of Spanish control is hidden behind 2 layers of stone walls in the center of busy Manila. The colonial elite's ultimate resting place was originally intended for Paco Park, which was constructed in 1807.
A second wall was constructed to surround the more recent burials after the cemetery was later extended in 1822 to accommodate victims of the disastrous cholera outbreak in the city. The names of the cemetery's most well-known occupants, however, were never inscribed on either of the cemetery walls and were buried covertly in unmarked graves.
The cemetery was abandoned by 1912. A few items were moved to different cemeteries. On the grounds of the cemetery, the Japanese troops stationed during World War II's Japanese occupation of the Philippines built munition dumps. The adobe walls had evolved into a fortification for the invaders. The entire former cemetery's area had been trenched by the Japanese, who also built numerous artillery emplacements there.
The conflict had ended. Its remnants were progressively disappearing. The Manila Cemetery's status as a national park was established in 1966. The garden was reconstructed and embellished. The park is now a well-liked destination for recreation and rest.
Good day everyone, my name is Nicole Flores and I am your tour guide today here in Paco Park. What a beautiful setting with the fountain, chapel, and the garden. One would almost forget or not notice that the encircling walls of the Paco Park is actually a cemetery. The chapel is quite small, though able to hold only 20 to 40 people, might be good for an intimate wedding ceremony with the fountain as the part of the aisle walk. So it might be a bit creepy though because the Paco Park is a cemetery, but one could hold their reception at the Oasis Hotel right next to it. So let's go and check the chapel. chapel. Another church perfect for weddings, the Roman Catholic Church situated in Paco Park in the walled city of Intramuros is located in one of the oldest areas of Old Manila. A chapel dedicated to St. Pancratius, it once served as the municipal cemetery chapel until interment of bodies ceased in 1912. It was eventually transformed into a national park in 1966 with a small round-domed church, a prominent feature in the park. During the Marcos years, it was turned into an area where one could hold cultural events. So, the St. Pancratius Chapel built on the territory of cemetery in 1969, the Philippine National Liberation Movement, Jose Rizal, who was executed by the Spanish colonials, was buried in the cemetery. He is honored in the country as the fighter for freedom and a national hero. Every year, on the Memorial Day of Jose Rizal, the President of the Philippines always visits the St. Pancratius Chapel.
Good day, I am Lorenzo Rafael T. Cortes, your tour guide here in Paco Park. And here we are standing in front of you is the tombstone of Jose Rizal. In 1896, Philippine national hero Jose Rizal was executed by the Spanish for his presumed involvement to the Philippine Revolution. His second book, El Filibusterismo, which addressed the theme of Spanish corruption and repression to the island, was dedicated to Gumburza. Like the three martyred priests, Jose Rizal's body was buried in the unmarked grave between the two walls of Paco Park Cemetery. Rizal remains was transferred now to Luneta Park. What remains here in Paco Park is the tomb mark of Jose Rizal to honor the late hero. When Rizal's sisters discovered his grave, they bribed the guards to mark it with RPJ, his initial in reverse, to hide the spot from Spanish. Rizal's body has been moved now, entombed about a kilometer away beneath the monument that bears his name. The open marker remains
Good day, I am Jethel Joy, Tipagad, your tour guide here in Paco Park. So as you can see here, we are in the graveyard of unknown people. On February 17, 1872, the Spanish executed to the three Filipino priests, which is Mariano Gomez, Jose Borgas, and Jacinto Zamora, also known as the Gumburza, for allegedly inciting a mutiny against the colonial government. The three priests branded as a traitor and killed were buried together in an unmarked grave here in Paco Park. Though the mutiny failed, the murders of Gumburza contributed to the awakening of the Philippine national consciousness. Over the next quarter of a century, this would foment into a full-blown revolution, the foundation of which is attributed to yet another revolutionary figure once entered here in Paco Park. So today, the area of Paco Park occupied more than 4,000 square meters. However, the park keeps the traces of a terrible past of Manila. Once there was a